So I was watching the Shawn Ryan Show with Joe Kent. He gives a really clean explanation for why the U.S. is involved in the Middle East. And it makes sense. But the more you think about it, the more you realize it's not the full picture. So Kent basically frames it like this. The U.S. is there to maintain stability, and Iran is the destabilizing force, right? And if we're not there, global trade, especially oil, gets disrupted. Honestly, that sounds reasonable. But here's where it gets interesting. The idea of stability depends entirely on who you ask. So from our perspective, we're maintaining order. And from Iran's, we're surrounding them. And then there's the oil argument, which everyone always brings up. But here's the thing. The U.S. doesn't rely on Middle Eastern oil the way it used to, you guys. So how and why are we really there? And it's because it's not about the oil itself. It's about controlling the flow of it. And when you think about it like that, this stops being about Iran and starts being about China. And I covered this in the last video I did. I'll link it here in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. So here's the Hormuz reality check. People always say, what if Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz? They won't, bro. And they can't. It would trigger a massive military response, and it would hurt them too. And the world it wouldn't tolerate, especially China and Russia. They especially would not tolerate this. And not Japan, not the EU. But here's what they can do. They can mess with it, right? And if that's all it takes, because even small disruptions spike oil prices, shakes the markets, and puts pressure on everyone, right? But this is the part that nobody really says out loud. All of this assumes that things stay controlled. But history doesn't work like that. You get a proxy, then a retaliation, a miscalculation, and now you're in something way bigger than anyone planned. Joe Kent isn't necessarily wrong, but he's giving you a very clean version of a very messy situation if things got really out of hand. Because this isn't just about stability, and it's not just about oil, it's about power and positioning and how fast things can go sideways. But not only that, we're making it very clear to our competitors, our enemies, maybe you could say, like China. It's not that the region needs us, it's that our presence changes how everyone behaves. Because once the US is involved, every decision gets made with us in mind. From shipping routes to military moves to escalation risks. So it's less about being needed and more about shaping the environment so things don't spiral out of control. So one more thing that people bring up in this discussion is Israel and the idea that they're somehow manipulating US policy. I don't really see it that way. What you're looking at is more of a strategic alignment, right? The US has its priorities and Israel has its own priorities. And in a lot of cases, they overlap, especially when it comes to countering militant groups and regional stability, okay? But that doesn't mean the relationship is perfect or that it always produces clean outcomes. It's like, friends, you and your friend have a disagreement. I mean, these things happen. But it's not really about control. It's about shared interest in a very unstable region, right? Sometimes we back Israel with military funding and support because they keep the terrorists in check over there. Kent brought up, some points that for a while Iran was cooperating and they were keeping Hezbollah and everyone, all their other proxies under control. But you do that especially when you know you're not a superpower so that you can gain your enemy's trust and then strike. I mean, that's textbook. That's a textbook tactical approach to when you're trying to bring down, destabilize a more powerful force like the United States of America. Right now, you might say things are out of control for us, but it's not. It's out of control for them. And everything is now, decisions are now being made with our interests in mind. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you subscribe for more trucking and geopolitical analysis. Thank you.